Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Coming up in this week's episode, podcast host Shannon Lee joins us on the show. A man learns why you don't lean on the train doors, and another wild video of a person surviving falling in front of an oncoming train. Stick around.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please. Of the closing doors, please.
It's alive!
Transfer is available.
The next and last stop is...
You're tuning into the SubwayCreatures. You're tuning into the
There's no way you're still pulling stuff out of that purse right now. That is the smallest purse, and yet the most I've ever seen come out of. Look at how much stuff that is. You're still pulling stuff out right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just loose dollars in the bottom.
This is wild.
Oh, hold on.
You guys got her on this, right? The stuff, everything that's coming out of her purse right now?
Charger.
And when you're done, please hold that bag up so we can see how big that bag actually is that's holding
There
all of
it
this
is.
stuff.
Oh, wait.
What is it you're actually looking for?
I was looking for... Oh, there it is. My battery for my pen, which was at the bottom.
Of course. The
Now I
one
gotta
thing,
put all
look
this
at
back.
that. Can we see the bag? Well, that is impressive. That is very impressive.
It's a lot of things. It's going to take me, like, the podcast to put it all back.
Oh, well, you'll have something to do this whole show then.
Hello.
We have a special guest today.
We do.
We have host and producer of the Gas Digital podcast. The thing is Shannon Lee.
Hi.
Shannon.
Thank you.
for
This has
having
been a long time coming, I feel
It
like.
really has.
She's been here like much longer than our show, working here, doing her own podcast. And
Just peering through the window.
and somehow this is the first time. This is somehow the first time you're on. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Shannon, have you found a prisoner to date on your podcast?
Unfortunately, I have not.
Can we first explain this? Because I'm dying to know what this means.
So this is like a really whole family affair because it started off on the High Society radio show, also on Gas Digital, and everyone knows I kind of like a bad boy, thuggish kind of guy. So they had a prison dating game for me on that show, and we were skimming through a prison dating site called meetaninmate.com.
Of course that's a thing.
There's several
Of course it
prison dating sites out there. And so I was like, yeah, I'll go along with this for the bit. And they were going to write a letter to an inmate from me. But then I found one that I was like, oh, this guy is super hot. And after the whole thing was over, I just went home and I wrote him a letter on my own after everyone tried to talk me out of it for a month.
And, wait,
And
did
now
he write
you guys
back?
are happily married and
Yes, expecting the first baby.
okay.
No, we wrote back and forth 3 letters, but his last letter that he wrote to me, he had some letters tattooed on his stomach, which I found out from a comedian who was a former inmate that they were gang letters. And so I asked him, I was like, because we were going back and forth talking about tattoos, and I was like, oh, so what are the letters on your stomach? And he never addressed the question. I get that they like monitor your mail and stuff, but the fact that he didn't address it kind of bothered me. Also, the picture that he sent me, the last picture, he was kind of
That's
skinny.
what bothered you?
That was the deal breaker for you?
The skinny picture. That's what bothered me.
Oh, his weight.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a problem as well.
Yeah, I was out. That's what really pushed it over the edge, because if it was a hot picture,
Okay.
I would have still been in, but yeah.
Well,
It
you do
didn't
know
look
that-
the same.
Yeah.
It's the what?
It didn't look the same as who he was on his profile.
No, because
Oh, the old bait and switch? They gave you the old bait and switch?
no, he had sent me a bunch of pictures previously, but in this one, in the little caption he wrote on the picture, it said, this is from like 2017 after I shed my prison weight, because this is not his first go around. And I was like, so this is what you want to look like? No, thank you. And I
This
was
is
out.
amazing.
You liked him like buff and
Yeah,
prison-y.
big. He was huge. He was like
You're
really hot. I don't have my
crazy.
phone in here. I'll show you the
You
picture.
know, Chris made me do that. Fagan made me do it. The prison thing.
Did you fall in love?
Well, I get it.
Yeah.
Because like we were looking and we found this guy and he was so hot that in my head I was like, but I could fix him.
I wonder if it's the same guy.
It probably is.
Wow. What is this, like Sing Sing? Is this Rikers?
He's Oregon, somewhere in Oregon.
I think mine was in Oregon. Wait a minute. Does anybody remember that?
You guys are about to throw down.
I know for a fact that they're both different people.
Okay.
Okay.
It's okay. You guys can relax.
That would be, we're gonna have to fight for our mans. We'd end up in the women's prison. Have you seen that documentary about the adult prisons on Netflix right now. I don't remember what it's called.
About the chicks?
No,
What do you mean the adult prisons?
has,
Aren't they all
women,
adult prisons?
No. But it has the men and the women, but it shows how like they date. Like basically you're like the women are in their cell, right? And like the toilets, the pipes go all the way up to the men's prison, which is higher than the women's prison, but they all share the same toilet pipes. So you scoop out all the water out of your toilet bowl, then you poke a hole through a cup, and then you yell into it, and whoever yells back, that's your boyfriend. And you guys have like a relationship where you talk at night into your toilets.
This was my favorite thing.
And then they take a line, they take like long things, and they put spoons on the end of them, each of them. So the guy will do it and the girl will do it. They'll take long strings of like sheet or whatever they can find, and then they'll dangle a bunch of spoons on the end so it looks like this crazy thing. And then they'll flush. They'll count to 3 in the toilet. They'll yell 1, 2, 3, and then they'll flush. And then both the spoon tangles will go in and get tangled to each other, and then they can send stuff back and forth.
Oh my God.
That's Jailbirds. Jailbirds on Netflix.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, and they would actually send food to each other, which is fucking
And it
disgusting.
would come out covered in shit.
Which one was on the top? The guy or the girl?
The guy.
The guy.
they
So I could also
alternated.
take a shit and send it on down to my girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay.
Not
You
as
could.
romantic.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is.
But like at one
is
point
awesome.
there was like one girl that had a boyfriend in her cell, and I guess they were both there for like a couple years, and they were like dating because they were in the same cell. And then she got out before him, and then some other girl took over her cell and started talking to her man.
Oh,
and then
that's
she
how
came
people
back to
get
jail,
shanked.
and she was in a different cell. And one day the girl was talking to her man in the cell, and the other bitch walked in and was like, "Give me the cup." And she went in the toilet. She's like, "You're talking to some other bitch," and he was just getting yelled at by his 2 girlfriends into the toilet.
You can't even trust an inmate.
Oh my. Yeah, right?
Crazy.
I mean.
So I felt like
Of course this is a fucking
I
thing.
watched that and I had this sickening feeling that I belong there.
Well, it sounds
It
like you
was
and Shannon
crazy.
would fit right in.
We could be in jail, Shannon.
Yeah, I mean, I just think about like my roots are gonna grow so long, and how am I gonna get my nails done? Which is
You
also
can do
why
both of those
I
in
can't
jail.
join the army.
You can do both of those in jail.
Oh my lord.
Oh, then
No,
that's
you'll
cool.
find someone who will take care of you.
All right. Well, yeah,
we'll
as
have
long
like
as-
these big butchy girlfriends, or maybe I'll be the big butchy girlfriend. Probably,
You just let go.
just my luck.
You
yeah.
just let go.
I grow my mustache out.
Oh shit.
I'm
Well,
almost done putting my stuff back.
Almost.
It's only been 7 minutes and 25 seconds.
Shannon, that was one hell of an intro right there.
Nice to
Welcome.
meet you all.
Yeah. So I guess this is kind of the type of thing that you talk about on your show, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. On my show, I like to talk about bad dating experiences. So everyone tells a story of like a nightmare date experience, because it's cool to hear about people falling in love and stuff. And we'll eventually get to it if it exists. But it's cooler to hear about, because then it makes you feel better about the stuff that you've gone through.
I like hearing about people's bad experiences. I don't want to hear a good story about something good that happened to someone.
No one likes the happy
Ugh.
ending.
Not fun.
Have you ever heard someone tell a happy story and you're like, all right, and
When does it get good?
No, and I-
so who got raped?
It's you, honestly, that's the way it goes with movies. It's like when movies end happily, I get really upset.
Oh, I hate a
I get
happy
really
ending.
upset.
I like a happy ending where it's like fading, like the family's fading off into the distance, and then the kid gets snatched, and then it ends, and you're like, what? Ah!
Can't wait for the sequel. Yeah, it's gonna open with a funeral.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I like. I may be a little dark, but we all like dark. We all like the dark. So, yes,
Yeah. So we actually
that is a great concept
Yeah,
for a show. I
but
love it.
Speaking of dark, we also it's a really weird podcast because we
I feel like
touch
this is
on
about to get
other
racist.
stuff.
Go ahead.
We have black guests on sometimes, but
Sometimes
there we
when
also
you can't fill a guest.
No, they'll fill the guest.
we also talk about ghosts, like paranormal experiences, and street fights.
Are you saying ghost or black?
I said, and also,
Wait, can you say that one more time?
yeah, we talk about ghosts, paranormal experiences, because it's, I feel like almost everybody has had a situation where they were home alone and like heard a whisper or something crazy like that, or like something happened at the same time someone died.
Yeah.
And so I like to hear those accounts of like people's real life experiences.
I think those stories are amazing. I know Kim has an amazing story. I don't know if you ever heard the one of her. Is it your aunt or your grandma?
Oh, it was my aunt.
It was your aunt.
Mm-hmm.
And she was sexually assaulted by a ghost.
Oh, I did hear this. Yes.
And it's amazing when she tells the story. She's already told it on the show, but
Multiple times. Nobody wants to hear it anymore.
it's
The ghost sucked on her nipple.
Yeah, but
Was there proof?
What is ghost do?
That's what she said she heard. And she said something was suckling her nipple and there's nothing in the room. And she saw it like come from the ceiling in the middle of the night and like jump on her chest. And then her nipple was like.
It's like the entity. I mean, I'm 110 years
The
old.
entity.
Shannon, what was the craziest story you've heard about the paranormal segment of your show? What is it like? I feel like you can only really get some really good content from that.
Yeah. It's probably Bobby, the producer on Gas Digital.
Yeah, Bobby produces our show.
Yeah,
he had a ghost story.
He had several ghost stories.
Was he like monotone? Was he
the ghost?
And then there was a ghost.
That sounds just like Bobby. That sounds so much like Bobby.
Bobby is the nicest. If you know Bobby, he's the nicest guy in the world.
Guys.
But then, hey, what's up, Rick?
Come on, guys.
So you excited for the show, Bobby? Yeah, I'm excited for
What's
the
up,
show.
Kim? That's how he says hi to you. What's up, Kim?
You know,
How you doing?
he did do a lot of hand movements, though, as
Oh
he
my
told the
God.
story.
Wow,
Yeah, it was very
Can you
emphatic.
imagine Bobby coming? Like, no, that was great. Good night. That was great. Good night.
And so I came.
And so I came.
I bet he gets like freaky behind closed doors. He has a Latin girlfriend.
Yeah, no, Bobby is probably a big freak. He probably puts thumbs in your butt and shit. Like,
You know what's funny
Bobby
is
a
that we
freak.
never talk about Bobby, and this is totally coincidence that he's not here today. And this is probably the one show he's never been to, and it's just coincidence. Where it's not like we're doing it because he's not here. In
No,
fact,
we'll do it
I
to his
wish he
face.
were here. I
So he
wish he
tell
were
us.
here because
Yeah.
he could at least defend himself. But
this is better.
it's kind of fun that he can't. But we'll have to make sure to bring that up next week and ask him about his story. Unless you want to tell us Bobby's story.
I can give like the long and the short of it, or you can go back and listen to it on The Thing Is Ding.
Ooh,
But
I like that.
He had 3, and they were all terrifying stories. But one of them was about him as a child, and his parents had gotten like a secondhand television, and it's like we're all older, so it's like a tube television, like really old. And whenever he would turn it on at night, it would go staticky, and he would see a figure in it.
I mean, I did too, but
Okay,
mine was Spice. and it
Okay,
was-
wait a minute. This is a thing.
Is it?
This is a thing.
I mean, I watch porn that.
Hold
I
on,
used to
I'm
watch porn
freaking the
growing
fuck
up
out.
that way.
No. Okay, so I go on like all these like really creepy Reddits. And there are
You
a
are a
few
big
people,
Redditor, yeah.
but I do like this paranormal stuff and like glitch in the matrix stuff, and I'm like on them all the time. And there are people, and I've read like 6 or 7 other stories of little kids who says that their static TV, after it turned it off, there was a man in it.
That's what
And
he
he
said.
would
I saw a
walk
man.
around and like
Yes.
talk to you and shit.
That's this. Oh,
And
I just got chills.
There are
Whoa.
there are multiple people on Reddit. I swear to God, look, I have goosebumps right now that claim like I've seen separate stories, and I've been like, oh, that's a different username than that guy.
So
And
this happened to Bobby?
This happened to Bobby as a kid. Yeah.
Oh
The same
my-
exact story. And it
That's
was
weird.
Yeah, it was like a used television. Yeah, and he saw this like a shadow of a man.
That's what they describe it as, a shadow of a man walking around, as if like the TV was still.
I mean, was
on,
there
but
a
not
dick
real.
out? Because that might have just been porn, and he was watching it through the scrambled part of the teletion.
Not in the story that I heard. No,
Okay.
no dick.
This guy came
Did he
through
say
the television.
anything about it? Like,
I can't.
do anything?
No, I don't think so. I just think that he kept complaining about it to his mom, and they eventually got rid of the television. I think is how the story went. I don't remember. God, Nate.
From what I remember, I thought he would see a person in the TV when it was off.
Yeah.
Like
It wasn't through the static.
No, I thought it was a reflection in this, like
Oh,
someone
yes,
in the other
you're
room,
right. But that's what you're saying, right?
I don't know.
And then
maybe I misunderstood it. When I read it on Reddit, it was when the TV was off, they could see someone still in the TV.
But what was scary is what they said when they got rid of the TV. He told his mum he saw someone levitating, And then his mum said that the person that gave them the TV hung himself.
Right.
That's why it was scary.
See, that's
I forgot the best
fucking-
part of the story.
Shannon, how could you not say that part?
That's a whole, that just added a
We
a
drink
lot.
on that show, and we do that segment towards the end, so it goes right out.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
When my sister was like 2, she came into me and my other sister's room because me and my sister April would like stay up and watch like movies really late. And she was like 3. And she came running into the room, 3 or 4. And she came running into the room. She was crying. And we were like, what's wrong? And she was like freaking out. And she said, there's a girl in the bathtub with flies on her.
Oh my God.
That's what she said when she was fucking 3. And I remember she was at the doorway. No, she was at the doorway when she said it. And we both at the same time went, come here, like get away from the bathroom. And it was like really weird.
So I think that's one of the scarier things about, especially like little kids, is that obviously they're little kids, they have wild imaginations. But then I think,
like, how do you imagine that as a child?
well, that's what I'm saying. And also,
that's
I
like
think,
a decomposing body. You know what I'm saying?
From
Like,
us seeing too many movies as like adults, we're like, but what if they are really seeing something? I know when my younger sister was growing up, she had an imaginary friend that she would have conversations with, and it absolutely terrified everyone in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd walk in her room and she'd just be sitting there having a conversation. And you're like, oh man, like, I don't know. Is this just her using her imagination?
or is she saying?
Or is someone sitting with her right now? But it's like, you always think about that in the back of your head. You're like, oh, what if there
what
really
if it's
is
a
something
ghost child molester? Also, what if he's like ghost touching her and he can get away with it?
weird? Nah, she came out way too normal for that to be the case.
Maybe that's how you become normal.
She did. No, see, that's the person who goes on inmate.com and starts really.
How dare you?
Oh, you're saying me and Shannon got ghost molested? Cool. Fine.
It does run in the family, it sounds like.
Oh yeah.
I could use a rapey ghost right about
Oh,
now.
rapey
That'd be cool.
Don't be careful what you wish for tonight when your fucking titties are getting suckled on, dude. You're gonna freak out.
I haven't had sex in 17 months.
That's
Jesus,
It'd
Shannon.
be cool to have a ghost
insane.
boyfriend.
Shannon, fuck someone right now.
All right.
In this room, pick one of the two guys. Sorry.
Is it?
She might.
it-
Just do it now.
Shannon, you're a New Yorker, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm just making this up. Is it not easy as a girl in New York to get laid if you need to?
It's so easy.
I don't know.
Or are you just very picky?
I'm picky. I'm
Or are
also
all the guys just locked up?
No, I can't really have casual sex.
She has to be married to have sex with someone that she's into.
I mean, so you're going to have to get married then. That's tough.
I can't have like casual sex like with a random person.
Okay.
And I don't meet really many new people. I spend a lot of time here, and you see what comes in and out of these doors.
I do.
Everyone's so insulted in the back right now. All the guys are so...
I say it all the time. They know.
I know.
She just called you guys fucking gross.
How big is your self-esteem when you walk in the door here?
I mean, there's no other girls here really. Like Kim's never here.
You must get it really bad.
Oh, but I just get made fun of. I just get abused.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's like pulling your hair.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't.
Have you been married before?
No.
Okay.
No, never married, no kids, cats,
You don't like
that whole
casual
thing.
sex?
No.
Oh, I have the opposite problem. Literally.
Yeah.
So you guys, I'm sure, have talked a lot about that on your show.
Yeah, it comes up very often,
Yeah.
especially, yeah. And then I actually talked about, I think when you were on my show, we talked about, I was considering going to an escort service.
Oh, yeah.
Just to get it out of the way?
Yeah, but as part of because my friends have this annual sleepover Christmas dinner thing. And over the years, everyone has slowly gotten married and started having kids and stuff. And I am the last single person, so I was like, maybe I should just hire an escort next year, and then I'll have my date. And he's like the one I picked out because the owner of Cowboys for Angels was on my show, and it's a male escort agency, and so I picked one out, and he said he'll give me the family discount.
You obviously would need to document this entire.
How much does it
thing.
cost?
The guy that I picked was I think it was $3,500. I can't remember what the time frame was for.
But is that for a day?
I think it's for a night.
That's got to be for a holiday weekend.
Yeah,
that is that's a good rate for a whole night though.
Yeah.
$3,500?
Yeah. If you think about it,
just to be Shannon's boyfriend for the night?
I mean, if you think about it, he should be getting paid if he's a
he should be
high-end
paying her.
escort. No, I know, but I'm just according to his job, he should get paid $1,000 per fuck minimum. and he's staying the whole night. That's like a $10,000 value for
Nate, can you look up?
$3,500.
Can you look up on Cowboys for Angels?
This is the only math I know is slut math, so back off.
I was gonna say you just really broke that down pretty well.
When a dick's involved, the numbers are just like it's like Rain Man.
What was the guy's name?
Oh, don't look up. I don't want to bring up him because I don't want people to steal him from me.
Oh my God, she's selfish with them too.
You're territorial, huh?
Yeah.
He's gonna have an issue. He's gonna
You
charge
can
you
have that
extra
in
for that
common.
crazy shit.
Yeah, I don't want all the girls now to be going for this guy. But he also
Well,
lives
all
in
of them
Vegas.
to whip out $3,500 out of their savings.
That's a good point.
Yeah, if they
but
can afford it.
he lives in Vegas, so I'd also have to like pay for him to
him out.
fly here. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's so hot. So I consider that. Actually, Christina Hutchinson had done that. Like she had used an escort at one point. She talks about it openly.
Was it?
And
Was
she
it
said it was
for
a great
content, or was she serious?
just to
about-
bang one out real quick.
Really?
And she said it did the trick, and she would do it again. So
Wow.
yeah, and they're gonna be like so nice to you and like doing everything perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it
If I had
listen,
the money to throw around, I'd buy one a week or two, every week or two.
Yeah, we're looking at $3,000 for an overnight seems about right.
Okay.
It's because the 2-hour rate here is like 800, 4 hours 1,500 overnight, and then you can have a per day rate, weekend rate, weekly rate.
What's the
Weekly.
weekend
What's
rate?
the weekly?
Weekend is $8,000 and weekly is $25,000.
Can you imagine making that kind of money?
Right.
Like, wow. That's the
$25,000 to spend a week with someone.
That's crazy.
People
That's
pay
wild.
that.
Yeah. There's actually
Imagine that the weeks that like the escorts when they get assigned and they get the picture of where they're going for the week and it's like old Holga who's like come here baby. Ugh, her house smells like soup or something.
Well, I forget the name of the service. Maybe you guys know. There was one for like Upper East Side women who were like older divorcees.
That's
who
kinda hot.
Were, they just wanted a guy like to
They don't
not
wanna,
even
like, get on
to
Tinder.
fuck, just like drive them around, go shopping with them. They just wanted something like that, and they were paying like top dollar.
I'd probably do that.
They have dating sites for that. It's called Sugar Babies was one a long time ago that I actually, when I was in my 20s, actually did go on as like a fluke. And there was a guy that I met on there from Long Island.
How did you accidentally?
No,
end
not
up on Sugar
accidentally. It
Babies?
was like a joke. I'm like,
Oh, I
this
see what you're
is,
saying.
you know.
It's like the prison
And
thing.
you
Where she
actually
actually started dating a prisoner. She actually wanted to be a sugar baby.
Can I ask you this? What was the end game for the prisoner one?
Death.
I mean, I would have been open to, like, if it had played out like how it plays on like Love After Lockup, like the prison dating TV shows. I would have been open to us writing for like 2 years, and then like we just click and everything's great in the letters. And then he comes out, moves to New York. This is absolutely a possibility. However, I also hate most people, and there was no connection. There was like nothing happening there. He was really just like a dummy street kid. And there was just nothing there. But I could have absolutely, I'm not against it.
Love After Lockup.
I also do a podcast about that. About
That's
Love
a
After
crazy
Lockup.
show.
You yourself have actually done a reality show before, right?
What?
I've done multiple reality shows.
What? What? Which ones?
So this is like, again, in my 20s. This is over 10 years ago.
Okay.
I was on Elimidate.
Can we pull up your episode?
I've really tried to find it, and Ralph has tried to find it.
What did you do? What episode? Wait, were you one of the girls or did you have the guys?
No, I was one of the girls.
Okay.
And I was in a relation. Well, I was in an on again, off again, terrible relationship at the time. I was like 24 or something. And so my boyfriend and I had broken up, and somebody reached out to me on like MySpace or something, because I'm 700 years old, and asked me if I was interested in being on the show. And I was like, this isn't a real thing. And they're like, promise you it is. Gave me the number to call, answered a bunch of questions. They're like, yes, we want you on the show. Fine. But when they called me to be on the show, I had gotten back together with my boyfriend.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, this is like my chance to like be on TV. It's so cool. I was like, I'm not going to make out with the guy or anything, like just to be on TV. And he's like, okay, fine, you can do it. Until the night before it came time to like be on the show.
And then he was pissed.
He tortured my life, would not let me sleep. He kept the light on all night. He would every time I would start to fall asleep, he would
guy's
get up and like, he's nuts. And he would get up and like fix the sheets or something. And he would try to keep me up. And then when he finally
He was just
fell
trying to make it
asleep-
look like the prison he used to live in.
I mean, you're not far off. When he finally fell asleep, I snuck out of his apartment and like went back to my house, changed my clothes, and went to film. But I was on zero sleep. And the guy that they had there, he reminds me of like Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life. I don't know if you remember, anyone remembers the show, but like he was just this tiny little like Australian guy, and they kept telling me he was going to be right up my alley, and I'm like, no. And so I was cut after the first round. I was really not even there at all, but I got paid for it, and they like, you know, covered food and everything for the day in the car back and forth.
I wish I could see it. Where'd you go on your date?
We went, I think it's, which is the park close by that has the fountain in the middle? Is it Washington Square Park?
To where we are right now?
Kind of somewhere downtownish.
There's Thompson Square Park. And then there's also Washington Square Park.
Does it have a fountain in it? Whichever is the one with the fountain
So you went to a park.
I think you went
With
to
a
Washington Square
I
Park.
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see that so bad. I don't know.
Well, the fact that Ralph has been looking for it and
It's
can't
hard to
find
find.
it,
Yeah, it's hard to find.
That's got to be tough.
I'm going to make it my life's mission to find that.
I have it either on like a DVD or a cassette tape somewhere.
What else were you on? Were you
I
on
don't know
Room
where.
Raiders?
No. The other thing I was on.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
I was on
Next.
an episode of Tyra Banks where she did pretty much like half of the show, a segment on, there was this psychologist or whatever that had just written a book called The Science of Dating or something to that effect, where it talks about how what we're attracted to is a lot less than we realize of our like conscious mind. So it's like someone's like the smell of somebody or the sound of their voice or the touch of them or whatever is what attracts you, and you don't even realize it. So they were using me to like prove that point. Mm-hmm. So they had three guys there that were the bachelors, and I was like the chick, and they just like threw me on stage with like no preparation. I'm sitting on this tiny little stool in the center of a stage, live audience, live TV show, and they blindfold me. So now I'm like,
I'm getting stressed out.
I'm so stressed.
I hate everything. And so we had to go through the 5 senses with all of the guys. So they had to like read like some poem or nursery rhyme or something. They all had to read it. And we go through all these things. The worst one is taste, which they had not prepped me for. And what they did was, this is so gross, and it skeeves me to this day to even repeat it back to everybody, but they had all of the guys lick a lollipop and then had me lick the lollipop. Why is this allowed to do to people on national television?
Oh, man.
Wait. Tyra's a bitch.
Right?
She just is. I've never liked her. I would watch Tyra Banks, and she would have like an episode where she was like, oh, today we're going to have like 5 overweight ladies come and like cry on stage and talk about how fat they are. And then she would like, they'd be like, people bully me. She's like, I know. People used to bully me because I was so skinny. And I would just eat pizza and eat pizza and eat pizza. And I was just so skinny. And like all these fat bitches on the stage all crying. It was, that shows a lot.
Like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
She's like, I would just have to eat pizza and pizza and I couldn't gain weight.
I just realized your shirt too. It's like an overall theme with you, isn't
Oh my God.
Well, these are the guys from Supernatural.
it? She has
The CW.
For those
so
of you
weird,
listening,
Shannon.
I just realized Shannon is wearing a shirt with mugshots. This is like an overall theme.
But they're Supernatural guys, though, from the TV show Supernatural that only teenage girls watch, that show. Yeah.
Okay.
Shannon, you need a man.
I'm back on I put myself back on a dating site. And I paid to
Yeah. Are you on any of the apps?
Right now I'm on Hinge.
Okay.
Only because, I paid for a month like a real loser, but so I could search by height because height is so important to me.
Wait, I never even knew that. Okay.
You had to pay for that.
I think only as a female, because a friend of mine just showed me his the other day. He doesn't pay for
can
it, and you can,
discriminate.
but
Okay, that's great.
chicks can't. So now I can. I paid $10 so that I could search by height.
$10 a month to search.
Just
by
I'm
height.
paying for 1 month, even though I'll forget to cancel it and end up paying for.
What is your height? What's your range?
You start at 6'3", don't you?
I wish I had my phone in here. It's probably like it's realistically probably 5'11" to the top number, like 7 whatever it goes up to.
5'11", you're nice.
But I'm trying to lower my standards a little. 5'11".
Yeah. Well.
I'm a heightist.
I'm 6'4" bust now. I don't fuck around anymore.
That's good.
I don't care.
Like it.
Call me fat. I don't care. 6'4" bust. Bye.
Well, this is a good conversation to have with one of the topics that we have to talk about. Something that happened last week. Now, I mentioned to you before the show, and I'm glad that we have you as a guest because I feel like this is something we can talk about. This is something that happened last week. This is a true story. There was a man, 63-year-old man, who went to the hospital because he fell and he needed to go get an x-ray. So he went and got an x-ray on like his pelvic area, basically his whole torso. And they discovered that his dick is turning into bone I didn't know that
Isn't
this
that
is
what's supposed to happen?
Yeah, it is. Okay, Daddy, tell me more.
No, his dick is literally turning into bone. Like it's not a dick anymore. It's just gonna be like a bone. Mm-hmm. Now,
What's the problem?
we actually have the X-ray here of. I believe that's what it's supposed
That's
to
a
look
fat
like
dick
compared
too.
to what
Oh my
his looks
God.
like. And it's just like it's a dick bone.
It's only helping him out.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you. It's kind of like, what is this a good thing, a bad thing? Like
Here, the problem is the direction that it's in.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what are you going to really do there?
It's
Yeah.
gotta be curved the right way. You gotta curve it up towards your face.
Yeah, so like,
First.
where is the bone connected to something else, or can you like prop it up?
that's a good question.
If you can
actually.
prop it up, he's
Chisel
good to
it?
go.
Can you put your initials in that bitch?
No, but what they said, treatment includes painkillers, stretching, or vacuum devices. I swear to God, this is
He's just got to stick his dick in a vacuum once a week. That's his medicine.
makes the
This
bone
dude's
go away?
So lucky. He just has a rock hard dick, and he has to get fucked by a vacuum, and that's it.
There are less than 40
Like, son-
cases of this ever happening recorded. So this
Can
is
he still have
such-
sex?
You know, guys, maybe we could pull the article up because I don't have all the answers.
They
and
have to
these are
answer that
valid-
in the article because
these
that's the
are
only thing
valid
anyone
questions.
wants to know.
They're valid questions. But I guess that obviously goes hand in hand with what I was saying. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? It all depends.
Yeah,
on
there's
the
I have
circumstance.
so many questions because like, is it like a? I mean, you can't really tell by that picture necessarily, but is it like stretching out his penis and making it bigger?
Well, apparently the one thing it did say is this could potentially wind up being a really bad thing for him. Like, I don't know if it means dying or if it means amputation.
I don't know why it's funny to me.
Well, of course it's funny. I mean,
Just this dude with this.
he's got a
rock
fossilized dick. Yeah.
rock-
Also, is it the out? Like, is it turning into a bone or is it like hardening?
No, I think it's like the inside. The inside is like
He could be a really good baseball player.
I'm reading the article now. It's hard for him to get boners now because there's-
Hard for him.
well, he
to get
doesn't need
boners.
them because he doesn't
Very
need
good.
them.
He is the boner.
He is he said he's been having trouble getting
He is the
erections,
boner.
whatever that means. But he said he'd noticed a quote firmness in his penis.
I like it all.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, as long as you can make it stand up. I wonder if his feeling is going away though.
If the sensation no longer exists,
And then you just have like a huge hard penis all the time, and you can't feel anything. That's
That would
bad.
suck.
that's just hell.
Yeah.
That's
Or
what I imagine hell.
maybe it'll harden and just squeeze the nerve endings all close together and makes
And
it
it feels
ultra
great.
sensitive right at the tip.
But then he's gonna come right away.
But
At
it'll
least
still be
he
Oh,
hard.
that's
gets-
right. It doesn't matter.
At least he gets to do it.
I see no bad side. Of
Me
this.
neither. I see no
Well,
issue.
also,
with
she
this
just
disease.
created that fucking whole scenario. That is not
Yeah,
a
but
fucking
in that
thing.
scenario-
Maybe his nerve endings all come together and he has a mega cum. I mean,
I mean, we don't have any facts, so we
I'm
can
gonna
only
write this into a
speculate.
script.
this really is. Who would star
The Rock.
Fossil Dick?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess it would have to be The Rock, right? Or John Cena. One of those two.
Do you know he just got married?
I did. I saw the.
Everyone
I saw the
thought of
thing.
you.
I got so many
Oh, are
text
you a big
messages
rock
and
person?
tags.
Oh, I
yeah.
guess that's your type right there,
yeah.
right?
Everyone was like, "We just want to check in on you. Are you okay?"
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm good. But yeah, she's a beautiful woman. They have a beautiful baby
Oh,
together.
quit being nice. You hate that bitch.
Yeah, let's not fucking play games here.
He's just the perfect guy.
You know, you went home and started scribbling shit out.
Have you ever
Photoshop
seen
my
Hey
face.
Arnold? She has one of those things in her closet, but it's The Rock. Oh, how I love him. Oh, how I care.
Well, we actually we do have a little bit of Subway stuff to talk about.
What?
But I always
Okay.
I don't know if I want to get away from these topics. I mean, this is kind of fun. But we'll come back to it because I'm sure somehow stuff is going to tie into these stories.
I've been killing it on the subway, by the way.
Have you? Wait a second,
killing
Kim.
What?
That just reminded me what you texted me a couple weeks ago.
What did I text you?
I got a random text saying I finally had a guy
Oh, jerk off at me.
to completion.
Yeah, I think it was to completion.
And
Thank you. I know.
I'm so
First of
glad
all,
we have
I'd like
that
to
horn on
thank
standby.
I'd like to thank God because I wouldn't be here without him. Okay, Go ahead.
This is
No,
on
that
the
was,
train.
you tell me the story. All I got was a text saying, "Congratulate me! A guy finally jerked off to completion in front of me on the subway."
Okay, so this is why I'm not sure. Well, okay. He was in the corner seat, as you've warned me, and I've learned not to sit in. And I was opposite in the center, close to the door for my easy escape in case there's a shooting or a bomb. And what he was doing was he was furiously rubbing himself over his
pants.
jeans, over the pants, but like doing it so hard. But then I was like, oh, maybe he just is like on drugs and he's just rubbing himself. He's not jacking off. I was like, so I'm going to look away for a second because he looked like he was really into it. I was like, maybe he's just like twitching or something. And then I looked over and he looked like he was like smiling and napping like he just came. And I was like, this bitch came at me.
He was eating a sandwich.
He was looking right at me, just rubbing it out.
Yeah.
And he came.
Well, congratulations,
Thank
Kim.
you so much.
We've
Thank
yes.
you. Do I get like a T-shirt or something?
She's been asking for this, honestly, for 55 episodes
There's
of Subway
nothing
Creatures.
else I've wanted from New York.
Yeah. She was so upset that guys cannot come in front of her on the train. Because it's not like guys weren't jerking off in front of her. They just
They didn't finish.
They just weren't finishing.
Yeah, they were just pre-coming like pussies.
Yeah.
This guy.
Congratulations.
So this was a big day.
This guy looked me dead in the eyes. And that's why I was like, he can't be doing it to me. He's looking right at me. Nobody makes it that obvious.
Right.
Yep.
This is all right. So
That's
that was a
my
big
man.
week for you.
I'll never forget him. The way he was rubbing himself. All crackhead like.
Did you give him your number when you walked out?
No, but I did give him a.
Like, see you this time next week on the C train.
You're welcome.
All right. So I'm glad we got that out of the way. But was there another story? Because you said you've been killing it. So
No, I'm just doing great.
no, listen. I brag about you all the time that you've come such a far way.
Oh, I'll yell now. I'll go, can you move to the middle? I do that now. Oh, I'm fucking in there.
Well, that's
dude.
just the Puerto Rican of you. That's just.
Or when people don't wait for me to exit. Right in their face.
What kind of reactions are you getting though? Are people coming back at you, or are they just like, oh yeah, stay away from her?
No, yeah, no.
So that's good.
I'll get
That's a
punched
good
soon,
thing.
probably.
Well, let's just keep doing it until then. So there was a woman, drunk woman, who wound up falling onto the tracks.
Do we have a video?
This was yesterday. Mike, this was yesterday? Or is this last week? Last week?
She's under the.
She survived.
Shit. How did she fall on the side of the train?
So
How did she fall? Like
Such
how
a
did
small
that
gap.
happen?
I wish I was that skinny.
The lady fell in a track. Like,
If I fell in that crack, my ass would just be stuck.
You can't fall into that crack. You have to
didn't. She
try. Okay.
I
Sorry.
think that shit was, and I think she rolled under. And the thing is that she can't move until. Yeah.
see, that's kind of a new thing, Kim, that I didn't know. They were like, don't touch any part of the train because the third rail was still alive, like still active. So I think they
And
were
the
worried
train
about
can
her.
pass it.
I think that's what they were worried about. So that's a new thing that I didn't know. That I was like, that's interesting.
But no, because when the train pulls up, you touch the outside of the train.
no, but she's on the bottom part
That
on
makes
the on the
sense.
tracks.
That makes sense.
But so this woman was drunk. This is the story of the woman who actually took that video. So this woman was drunk. She fell onto the tracks. Now they said that there was about 7 seconds between her falling and the train passing by.
God.
Where people actually were trying to pull her up and she was too heavy to pull up. So one woman actually pushed her down and like kind of like stuffed her underneath the platform somehow. And that's when the train passed through because it couldn't stop in time. So everyone said that on the platform said that they turned away because they thought this woman just got crushed. Then all of a sudden they
what
see...
a terrible feeling to like have to turn away.
Well,
and
that's
wait
what we
for
were
this
kind of
one.
talking about before the show. Like, regardless of her being alive, you have to think that conductor probably is going to have a little bit of PTSD.
And the people that were
And the
helping.
people. Because then the next thing that happened was her hand popped up between the train and the platform.
This bitch. I swear to God, drug addicts will survive anything. I swear to God. Only the good die young, I swear.
Well, yeah, it's going to be the innocent woman who, was just old and,
There's going to be a girl on her first day in college at USC.
They're the ones who die.
Yeah.
It's always the crackheads who somehow survive.
Dude.
I'm not saying this one was a crackhead, but
I still don't understand the logistics of how this happened. And if you're like, let's say it's like a truck that's like over you and you're just trying to like stay real close in the middle, why are you reaching? Like, there's no way someone's going to get you while the train is on top of you. Don't you just like hold your breath and wait for the train to go away?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel
Wait, during the train passing, she stuck her arm up?
Well, it's once the train stopped is when she
That is so
she
funny.
gave one of those
That is so
I'm alive
That
kind of
is
things,
so funny to see that hand pop up.
Yeah, well, that would be scarier for me than me just
Yeah, I'd
assuming
be
she's
like, what does
crushed.
that mean?
I'd be like, did her hand fly off? Is that like what's stuck now? Like, I mean, this was a scary situation. So I agree with you. I think everyone on the platform had PTSD, regardless of this woman being
I would
alive.
need therapy after that.
Because you have to think there's
Sorry
a good,
to sound white, but
there's a good couple minutes where you think that this woman's crushed, where now your body's going through the emotions of having to deal with seeing that.
Yeah.
And that's got to be really traumatizing, regardless of her
and you're
living.
waiting for the sound of like human splatter.
Yeah.
One day I had this dream when I was younger that a giant frog, it was like this big. It was so fat and so huge, jumped off my roof. And when I went like this to block myself, my arm just went through its
Wait,
body.
he jumped onto you?
Yeah. It like jumped from the roof on, like it was going to jump on my head. And I went to go block it because it was so gross. And then it went, my whole hand went through its body and I could feel its guts. And like that dream has stuck with me for a very long time.
Oh, it was a dream?
Yeah, it was a dream.
Okay, I was going to ask you, why
thought
you
I
were
really
staring at a
speared
frog.
a toad with my
Giant
fucking
frog.
hand?
This sounds like a Florida story, Kim.
Well, that's
I was
where it came
staring
from,
at the
'cause-
roof, and a frog was staring back at me, and he leapt at me.
That's what happens in Florida. That's where it came from. But it was a giant one in my dream, like this big on the roof. And I was like, should I run in my house? And I speared it with my hand, and I had to pull my hand out of its guts, and I could feel everything moving. It was traumatic.
And then you woke up, and your fist was inside of yourself.
That was good. I like that. I can feel my own heartbeat.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
Such a
shit.
Florida story. I love it.
Anyways. Human splatter. Frog
Yeah.
splatter.
What was the sound again? That's very accurate. That's exactly what I would picture. We got one more train story that happened actually. Mike, was this one today? The door opening? Or was that yesterday?
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Yesterday. So yesterday this one happened. This is something people do a lot. Don't recommend it. I actually do it. Leaning against the other side of the doors when you pull into a station.
Because they both can open. Is that right?
That is right.
I've had this theory since
and
I've been
this is
New
what
York.
happened yesterday. And a guy fell out onto the
I've
tracks.
always said that this can happen and you can fall off onto the third rail.
Yes. So this happened on New Jersey Transit. So it wasn't on the subway. But this is honestly, they don't have. Are you
I've
waiting?
been saying that this could happen. Everyone's like, that's stupid.
So this is the second time it actually happened in one day because people were tweeting about it 2 hours earlier. And then it happened again, and a guy fell out this time, and the doors closed after he fell out. So no one, except for like one woman, knew that he had actually fallen out of the train. She ran and had to flag the conductor, who had no idea what had happened. And the guy, he actually only had minor injuries. I feel like that could have been a lot worse. You never really know how high those trains are off the ground, I guess, until you're falling out of it. But you're
Like it could have been
you
levels
think about,
above.
remember, because we always talk about the platform, how high the platform is. So think about that. That's how far you're falling, technically.
How does that happen? Is it conductor error?
You know what? That's exactly the term they used. They said it was conductor/human error, that someone must have hit the switch for the wrong side to make those doors open. So that is one of my ultimate fears, because I always lean against those doors.
I think about it when the train's moving and I'm leaning against it, because I'm like, someone could just accidentally push the button and then open it and I fall out while it's moving.
Yeah.
Gone.
That honestly is one of my fears as well.
So I don't lean against
because
the door
that's
anymore.
100 times worse.
Oh my
Because you're just getting at that point sucked out, and you're just hope to die at that point.
Yo, if you're going over the bridge or something.
Oh, see, that's even worse. This is like Final Destination kind of
I'm
shit.
sick after the frog thing and everything else.
I want to talk about prisoners again.
Yeah, prison was the lightest thing on my
highlight.
stomach.
All right, how about this though? We can get into the clip of the week and then we'll get right back because I want to talk about your podcast a little bit more. Let's jump into the clip of the week here. We just never do the fucking music anymore, do we? We're so cheap. So
Why don't we run that whole thing again?
you know what? Let's do that one more time. All right. You know what, Shannon? I want to get to your podcast, but I definitely want to hit this clip of the week real quick. So let's jump right into the clip of the week.
Next stop, Subway Creatures. Clip of the week.
Oh shit!
Oh man! All
Cool
right,
music.
You guys are gonna love this one.
What
This
is
is
it?
one of the grosser clips that we've had on the show.
Okay.
Let's just play it first. Guys, kill the music.
She's not pumping a pimple. She's not pumping a pimple.
There's 2 women working on Nate's back in this video.
My back is much hairier than that.
Oh. Wait.
I think they're peeling his skin off. I think it's like sunburn, and it's just like skin that they're peeling off. But I'm not sure.
Oh, she's got her leg over him.
Well, I also like. It just looks like a very random 3 people.
It's also, yeah, it looks like none of those people know each other.
That's exactly. It
What's
looks very
happening there?
I was hoping you guys
What's
could tell me.
happening?
If you're just getting his gross dead skin all over
It's
everything.
just-
If you see that, do you say something?
That's a good question. I mean,
It's 3 against 1. That's not like one crazy.
but again, I know we've talked about this in the past. People who do that in the public are the ones who scare me because it just seems like they don't care.
I know.
And they're the ones who are probably going to come back at you.
Well, they
with
look like
something.
3 people that escaped from somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anything to them.
Yes. I mean,
They
guys,
do look like they came
pull the
out of
picture up
asylum.
again. It is, you cannot pick 3 random.
Those people are dangerous.
They are so random.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. They do look like they stepped out of somewhere.
Well, describe them for the people who are listening. I just realized people are probably like, what do they look
Have
like?
you ever seen the movie The Ringer? Just pick 3 random characters from that. Am I spot on or no?
Yeah, I mean, the guy does kind of look a little bit like John Malkovich.
And the girl in the
from
back
side.
looks like something.
The girl in the back looks like a character from Orange is the New Black.
She does. She looks like that crazy one.
You know,
And then the one in the front looks like a nurse. She's like wearing scrubs.
She is. She's wearing like the nurse shirt, the scrubs.
It's so confusing.
That's how they escaped.
They're dressed
She
up.
put on the
they're
outfit
just
of the nurse.
peeling this guy's skin off his back. I mean, why does that have to happen right there?
Why?
So gross.
These are the clips though that I kind of like because it just raises so many questions and it makes you say why and
Over and over again.
But
Why?
how about the fact that we're not talking about them peeling the guy's skin? We're talking about what these people actually look like in
Well,
general.
because it's just
which is-
odd that they're hanging out. Even if they were just hanging out as friends, I'd be like, you guys are up to something.
Well, doesn't the woman in the back look like she's not part? She was on the train and she's like, hey, I'll take a go at the back.
They're all taking turns.
I think that's true because then the lady in the front is also listening to something.
She has earphones.
Yeah,
in.
she's
So
completely.
you know she's not with them because
Yeah.
she's listening to music on her own. It's a good point. Jesus Christ, I wonder if they are all just random. And this guy is just like, hey.
I wouldn't put it past New York.
Bringing people together.
One skin at a time.
Wow. So that was a good one. I saw that one. I was like, oh, we got to save this one for the show because this is a good random clip that'll get us
the juices
asking,
flowing?
They'll get us asking some questions, but I don't know. We're having a tough.
What is that? Did Nate just do a porno in the back? Nate.
You can definitely tell that half the staff's in California this week.
Just mentally.
Holy shit. Shannon, I want to get back to your podcast real quick while we still have some time. So, Paranormal Activity, relationship stuff.
Yeah.
This just sounds like the greatest recipe for a podcast. What kind of like I'm actually excited because I'm coming on next week.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to share some stories. But
Are you gonna find a prisoner, babe? You should look
We
for
can do
women
that.
for him.
Absolutely.
oh yeah, like,
Actually, Ralph and Harrington, as like a bit on SDR, both wrote letters to female inmates. And as we were looking up what they were in jail for, because like in certain states you can, search stuff, and the girl that Harrington was looking up was in jail for murder.
oh.
We found that out live on air.
So let me ask you. I guess that's a good question. With your prison fetish, are there certain crimes that a guy has to commit for you to kind of go to that next
Ooh,
level?
yeah, what are your ideal crimes?
It's the other side of that for me. It's like no domestic violence, no murder. I don't really like stealing. Like
I love a stealer.
The guy that I was talking to,
Otherwise known as a thief.
Kim, shut up. You do not discriminate against anyone.
No, I would not want a child molester.
Okay. Well, he wouldn't want you either.
I know, so annoying. It's really obnoxious.
So the guy that I was talking to, he stole a car, but only to elude the police.
I like
Oh.
that.
It wasn't like that was his
I
thing.
love listening to you justify these guys.
I
This is
like
amazing.
it. I
know I'm being very sincere when I say that. Listening to her justify,
Yeah, he's not
you
really
know,
a thief. It was necessity.
he just was trying to get away.
Right.
He didn't know he couldn't do that.
I love stealing. I'll say it.
So on the show, though, which ties into this, the third segment is fight stories. So we talk about people's street fights. Or a lot of the times, though, it's people getting beaten up in high school or whatever. But I do enjoy a good story with a little bit of violence in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it all
Okay.
ties together.
Wow. Okay. So that gives me a
Bring
nice
a street fight
idea of
story in.
Have you been in a what fight? But you can't tell
Rick's
a story
been in a
now.
fight.
I
Yeah.
can't tell it now. I have been.
Okay.
And it is kind of funny because it was my first one and
Have you
also
only
my
been in
last
one?
one.
Okay. You've only been in
So-
one.
I've actually, as far as this literally took place in the street, and it was a big brawl. But I don't want to say I've been in multiple fights. That was a fight. The other ones are just me getting absolutely laid the fuck out. So I wouldn't necessarily call those fights. So
I might want one of those also.
I'll give
for
you
fun.
that too.
Okay.
Listen, I know you do the whole dating experience stories. I got one from when I first got out of college that I can't wait. I'll use that right now to
Okay.
kind of plug your show. People are gonna want to hear it.
Okay.
It's a good one. It's a doozy, as us
excited.
white people say.
Yay. So you have one for
Yeah.
all the segments.
Oh yeah.
Very exciting.
We'll hit all these. Actually, I got to think of Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
That's
It's just anything weird that made you question. Like a little bit more than like a bump in the night thing,
Yep.
but something that like really freaked you out
I
is
know.
acceptable.
I mean,
I've had people come
the
on the
bar
show.
sounds like it's set pretty high. So.
No, I mean I've had like Brendan Eyre came on, and it was just like some chick that he was trying to bang that wanted to sage him first.
Oh.
Which you need to do a lot more to Brendan than sage him.
We have him coming on next week, so
Oh,
I
okay.
can't wait to ask him about that.
So yeah, and then they vary. Like I've had female comedians that have come on that come from a family of witches. I've had that more than once happen on the show. So it's
This is great because this sounds like it's something I would definitely be interested in.
yeah, and it's stuff people aren't usually going on podcasts saying,
Of course.
tell me about the last time you saw a ghost. So
Right.
and some people have seen like full-bodied apparition in their life. So it's super fun.
No, this sounds great. Well, that actually is a good segue into our shameless plugging segment because this is where I want you to basically tell everyone where they can find not only your personal page, but your podcast, what days it comes out. Give us all that kind of good stuff.
Sure. So again, the name of the podcast is The Thing Is Ding. And I said every time because it's the phrase of the show and people say it all the time. So I always say ding afterwards. You can check it out on Gas Digital. It streams live every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then it releases free everywhere, iTunes, everywhere, YouTube, on Fridays. And you can follow me on Instagram at Shannon Lee 6982.
Perfect. Kim, we missed you last week for shameless plugging.
Oh yeah.
That's all right. Francis picked it up for you.
Sweet.
Actually, Alex picked it up for you too.
Oh
She
shit.
just kind of jumped in. She gave
my bitch.
the whole spiel.
That's my bitch. Follow me on Twitter at Kimberly Congdon, on Instagram at Kim Congdon. Check out my other podcast, Broad Topics, TOPIX. I did that with our producer who's in LA right now, Alex Garlato. And you can find that iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Stitcher. Check out youtube.com/Stone Science and Yeah. And shout out to you guys back there.
Yeah,
Eric and Nate
absolutely.
for
Big
fucking
shout out
doing
to
it
Eric and
today.
Nate for stepping up and producing this week because we were short staffed. Thank you guys.
Always a pleasure.
Absolutely, Nate. We miss you, man. We
Miss you every day, Ray.
Eric, we could do without.
Eric, you're great, I guess.
By the way, Eric told a horrifying fight story on my show.
Oh my god.
So again, the bar is set high for that category as well.
Beat it.
Well, mine's funny, not horrifying. So
I'll take it.
hopefully, yeah. Shit. All right. Well, as I say each week, subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere you check out your podcasts. Check out the page Subway Creatures Pod for highlights of the show, as well as bonus content you're not going to find on the main account. You can get a 14-day free trial on gasdigitalnetwork.com using promo code Subway, where you're going to get the Not Safe for Work bonus content, which, Shannon, if you want to stick around, we'll watch a couple of clips.
I'd love to.
And that's where everyone can see that stuff. And also, as well as every other show, including The Thing Is Ding.
Yay.
Ding.
In HD and commercial free. That's promo code Subway on gasdigitalnetwork.com. Shannon Lee, thank you so much again for being on the
Thanks for
show.
having me. It's a good
Mike,
time.
thank you as always. Guys in the back, thank you. And we'll catch everyone next week.
Bye.